3 restaurant shutdowns in New York, a $230,000 lawsuit for stealing from his workers, and a restaurant empire where customers pay $1,100 for a steak, while staff freeze in unheated kitchens. This is the man who just got banned from the World Cup for life after harassing Messi and manhandling the trophy. Same chef who served luxury steaks to dictators while their people starved. Salt Bae's billion-dollar empire isn't just crumbling, it's burning to the ground. Even his most loyal customers are turning their backs on him. Before Salt Bae became notorious for his $1,100 steaks, he committed his first major blunder in Miami. Just as he was preparing to open his luxury steakhouse there in 2017, social media investigators discovered a photo of him posing as Fidel Castro. The image showed Salt Bae mimicking Castro's iconic pose, down to the smallest detail. The cigar, the military stance, and even the caption commemorating Castro's death. This wasn't just poor taste. It was a direct insult to Miami's 500,000 Cuban refugees who had fled Castro's brutal regime. The backlash was immediate and devastating. Hundreds of reservations were canceled within hours. Protesters gathered outside his unopened restaurant with signs reading, "No dictator supporters in Miami." Local celebrities and influencers who had planned to attend the opening publicly cut ties with the restaurant. Even after Salt Bae desperately deleted the photo, the damage was done. His restaurant's Yelp page was flooded with 1-star reviews before it even opened its doors. One prominent Miami food critic wrote, "In a city built by Cuban refugees, Salt Bae just sprinkled salt in their wounds. But before you think this was bad, it was nothing compared to what he did next." Just months after the Castro disaster, Salt Bae outdid himself by hosting Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro at his Istanbul restaurant. The timing was catastrophic. Venezuela was experiencing its worst humanitarian crisis in history, with 90% of its population living in poverty. The footage shows Salt Bae theatrically slicing meat for Maduro and his wife, who were dining on $1,000 steaks and smoking $200 cigars. Meanwhile, back in Venezuela, the average citizen had lost 24 pounds due to food shortages, and children were literally dying of malnutrition. But Salt Bae wasn't content just serving Maduro. He had to brag about it. He posted multiple videos of the dinner on Instagram, showing Maduro wearing a Salt Bae t-shirt and getting the signature salt sprinkling treatment. The videos went viral for all the wrong reasons. Florida Senator Marco Rubio tweeted the restaurant's address and phone number, leading to thousands of angry calls. Protesters swarmed his Miami restaurant, with signs showing starving Venezuelan children. One particularly powerful banner read, "While you sprinkle salt on a dictator steak, his people eat from garbage trucks." The restaurant's rating plummeted. Even celebrities who had previously praised Salt Bae began distancing themselves. But perhaps most damaging was the interview where Salt Bae defended the dinner, saying, "I serve everyone equally." This tone-deaf response would become a pattern in his future controversies. But things were getting worse for him. In September 2018, 4 tourists were set on fire during one of Salt Bae's signature fire shows at his Istanbul restaurant. One victim, Czech influencer Tines Tresakova, suffered burns to 35% of her body and still bears visible scars today.
Oh my god!
The restaurant's response: they allegedly destroyed all evidence related to the incident and offered no compensation to the victims. It would take years and legal pressure before Salt Bae would address this incident, and even then his response was tepid at best. By 2019, Salt Bae's employees had had enough. 4 former workers filed a lawsuit, accusing him of stealing their tips. According to the lawsuit, Salt Bae was taking a 3% cut from all tips earned at his New York restaurant. When the employees confronted him about the missing money, Salt Bae's response was pure salt. He fired them. His explanation was, "I was not satisfied with their performance. They didn't match my understanding of work." Translation: they dared to question the king of salt. The case ended with Salt Bae being forced to pay $230,000 to settle the lawsuit, but the damage to his reputation was already done. When the pandemic hit in 2020, Salt Bae decided to open a new restaurant in Boston. It lasted exactly 1 week before being shut down by health officials for multiple violations.
A Boston restaurant opened by social media star Salt Bae has been shut down for violating COVID-19 safety guidelines.
The violations read like a what not to do during a pandemic checklist. COVID-19 safety guidelines were ignored. Crowds weren't social distancing, fire exits were blocked, and dishwater wasn't even running at the proper temperature. The restaurant was such a disaster that city officials had to step in to shut it down. In 2021, Salt Bae's ego reached new heights when he proudly posted a customer's £37,000 bill from his London restaurant. But this was just the beginning. In January 2024, Salt Bae doubled down by posting an even more outrageous bill from his Dubai restaurant, $108,000 for a single meal. During a global cost of living crisis, he captioned it, "Money comes, money goes." The post sparked international outrage. Food critics discovered his London restaurant was charging 1,250% more than market value for some dishes. One critic found that his golden steaks used just $15 worth of gold leaf to justify a $1,000 markup. Former customers started coming forward. One group called the police after being charged $5,000 for steaks they never ordered. Another customer exposed how waiters would push gold-covered steaks without mentioning the price, leading to bills that could buy a used car. The controversy forced UK food authorities to investigate his pricing practices, but instead of addressing the concerns, Salt Bae responded by posting even more expensive bills, including one showing a $25,000 tip for a single meal. But Salt Bae's biggest controversy came in December 2022, when he managed to turn one of soccer's most historic moments into his own personal photo op. After Argentina's World Cup victory, Salt Bae somehow got onto the field and proceeded to harass players for selfies. He grabbed Lionel Messi's arm repeatedly, snatched the World Cup trophy, which only winners and heads of state are allowed to touch, and even bit players' medals. FIFA was not amused. They launched an investigation into how he accessed the field, and the FIFA president publicly unfollowed him on Instagram. The US Open Cup even banned him from their 2023 final, not that he was planning to attend. By 2024, Salt Bae's empire was showing serious cracks. His London restaurant, which charges up to £700 per steak, was caught turning off the heat to cut costs, while profits were soaring at £3.3 million. The same restaurant that was charging customers £9 for a bottle of water couldn't be bothered to keep their staff warm. Former employees described working conditions as the Hunger Games of cooking, where staff never knew if they'd survive their shift without being fired. Salt Bae's response to all of this? Posting a Dubai restaurant bill totaling 398,630 UAE dirhams. That's over $108,500. On Instagram with the caption, "Money comes, money goes." Talk about reading the room wrong. His New York presence has been decimated, with 3 high-profile restaurant closures in less than a year. His London flagship has seen profits plummet by 48%, forcing them to slash prices on their signature gold-crusted steaks. Even his social media engagement, the foundation of his entire empire, has plunged by 70%. It seems the world has finally had enough of Salt Bae's salty behavior. So what do you think? Has Salt Bae's ego finally killed his golden goose? Or will he find a way to sprinkle his way back to the top? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more celebrity downfall stories.